In this video, we're going to talk about domain names and understanding the value of domain names and how crucial it is to your success online. Once you have a few keywords identified, you're going to need to check the availability of the matching domains. We can do this either using NicheBuilder, GoDaddy.com, or Upname.com. When you're initially getting started, I like to use Upname.com because it gives you a lot of additional suggestions as to names that might be available just by keying in your keywords. If you want to, you can go ahead and open Upname.com in another window or on a second monitor or on a different computer. Once you've got that up, I want you to go ahead and click on Advanced Search, and then we're going to run through this together. First, you're going to enter the keyword or keywords that you're trying to find a domain for. For this example, let's use the keyword Forex. Enter the domain extensions that will be acceptable to you. In this case, we're going to use com, net, org, and info, as those are the Google recognized international domains. Then we're going to go ahead and click Search Domains. We will be able to further filter our list once we have returned a complete list. Now that we have a complete list, let's take a look at what we have. In there you'll see everything from $50,000 domains like forexegypt.com down to just register domains spanning multiple extensions. When building sites according to the NicheBuilder model, there's absolutely no reason to look at domains that are $50,000. Those domains are for the other internet business models, not this one. I like to set my high-end limit to $500. The reason for this setting is to note for future reference any domain with excellent parameters. When any particular niche is making 600 to 800 more each month, I might be able to double that niche's income just by grabbing that additional domain and optimizing it. Even if you're rich, there's no need to invest in expensive domains until you have demonstrated that you have a profitable niche. As I look through the results, I see some of the names that work and others that don't. Some domain sellers are a bit excessive with their asking prices, but on the flip side, if you've ever noticed the purchase prices that make the news, so are some of the buyers. One thing to note is that the majority of the time when you see a domain sale for 5 and 6 figures, it's usually a keyword-dense domain name such as TradeTracker.com selling for $80,000 or CreditCare.com selling for $125,000. You can reverse target your niche by first using Upname to find keyword domains that are available. Then you can verify they actually have search traffic using Google Keyword Tool or the NicheBuilder Keyword Tool. I'll be the first one to say that NicheBuilder's Keyword Tool is much easier to use than Google's. Once you've done this, you perform the same process you did in the previous chapter with your keyword research. My advice is when you see a good domain and it's available, buy it. Domains are usually less than $10, and it might be the cornerstone of your next niche. Even if you never use it, it was a calculated risk on $10. Upname.com is free to use, but not always 100% accurate. Once you have gone through Upname or NicheBuilder and found several domains that you want to register, now it's time for you to register them. So how does registering the right domains benefit your business? In this video, we're going to look at registering domain names and why registering the right domain names will benefit your business. Registering the right domain names could make the difference between rising to the top quickly or wallowing around on page 7 or 8 for the life of your domain. In October 2012, Matt Cutts, Google's head of web spam, released a blog post that said Google was going to be targeting exact match domains, otherwise known as EMDs. The previous version of our software, Niche Traffic Builder, was more focused on an SEO model using EMDs. That model was specifically architected in order to gain rankings in Google. After the Penguin and Panda updates, we revamped the system so it could work with practically any online business model. If you're purchasing keyword domain names with the purpose of ranking them, the closer you can come to the exact keyword match, the better off you're going to be. This list is a quick reference as to how you want to register your domain names according to their search engine ranking value. The key phrase that we're trying to rank for here is learn to trade Forex. Now the first 3 are going to be with no hyphens in the name, and that's going to be learntotradeforex.com, learntotradeforex.net, and learntotradeforex.org. Now, previously we had said to use hyphens after this, but what we've seen over the last couple of years that Google's not really ranking the hyphenated domains the way they used to. So we'll add a descriptor at the end, such as at home. So that gives us a combined domain of learntotradeforex@home.com, learntotradeforex@home.net, or learntotradeforex@home.org. Now, following up in number 7 and 8, we have the .info domains, and it's important to look at here that if you could do a .comnet or .org with a descriptor, you would want to do that before you did an info domain. Then the last one is learntotradeforex@home.info. So what are the elements of an ideal NicheBuilder domain name? The elements of an ideal domain for use with NicheBuilder model are similar in fact to the elements of a good keyword, but here are a few items that you'll want to consider as well. First, it should contain your exact keywords. The domain should contain one or more exact keywords that will match to Google, Yahoo, and Bing user searches as they do their queries. Example, www.trainmyparrot.com matches exactly to the keyword search, train my parrot. Next, you want to represent the content inside. Your domain name should give the user an idea of what they will find inside once they click through. The next thing you want to look for is that it contains conversational anchor text. The keywords in your domain name should translate easily into linking anchor text for use in articles, blogs, and forums. An example of that would be www.havefuninvegas.com fits well with conversations such as, me and the girls are going to have fun in Vegas. After that, let's take a look at if it has sufficient exact monthly searches. According to Google, you want your keywords to have more than 2,000 monthly searches for that exact term that's located within the domain. Now, aside for some of the things on the internet, here's a couple of non-traffic accumulation elements that you'll want to consider. First, you want it to pass the radio test. This means that someone could hear your domain on the radio, not having seen it spelled out, and still find your website solely from hearing the domain name. If your domain passes the radio test, you'd be able to do purchase of advertising like radio and television. This is not as applicable to the NicheBuilder model because the model is based on internet presence and not radio or word-of-mouth advertising. I would, however, recommend that if you have a blog, the domain name for the blog should pass the radio test. You also want your domain to be easy to spell and have it contain the dictionary spelling of the words. That means that it doesn't contain misspellings of common words such as businessnews.com. This is not an absolute for the NicheBuilder model because we'll often attempt to rank for popular search term misspellings, example, receive email and receive email, but it is something that you will want to keep in mind anyway. The next thing to look at outside of traffic is that it's easy to remember. People can hear it once and remember it well enough to go back to it. It has something about it that people remember. Example, minisitefrog.com or tshirtjunkie.com. When building a NicheBuilder niche, you're matching to their search term and therefore your domain names might not be too memorable, but they will match what they're looking for. You also want your domains to be less than 25 characters. This plays a role when doing pay-per-click advertising such as in Google AdWords. Your domain will not fit into the advertising box if it's too long. This doesn't apply to the NicheBuilder model as we'll try to match our domain name to the user's search term, whatever the length. Finally, you want to look, is it brandable? You want your domain name to be easy to build a brand around. You want it to look good in print, sound good when spoken, and have a logo that can be built that's really pleasing to the eyes. A great example of this is Amazon.com. Although this is not a huge factor when building NicheBuilder sites, this would apply more to a money site that you are directing to from your traffic sites. That's it for this video. Hopefully these are some great tips that are going to help you find some great domain names.